Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. My name is Sebastian Aguilar. I'm in the marketing department at BrightSpot Incentives and Events. I just want to welcome you to our webinar today, must-haves for incentive software platforms. And we do want to hear from you. So if you have any questions, please send them over. There's a little question button, should be there on the bottom. You can see a little button right there circled. So give us your questions and we'll be able to get to those at the very end. And without further ado, let me introduce our two speakers. Here we have Kelly Coons, IP, Director of Incentives here at BrightSpot. And then we also have Jason Neal, Director of Information Technology, also at BrightSpot. And they'll be our presenters here this day. So without anything else, we'll get ahead and get started. So I'll send it over to Jason.
Okay, and thank you so much, Sebastian, for throwing that my way. Want to talk about some of the must-haves for CIM software platforms, and that CIM stands for Channel Incentive Management. So one of the first things we'll go into is a truly flexible website. And one of the questions that I get a lot as a developer of these platforms, and been developing incentive platforms specifically for about 14 years, is how flexible should a platform be? And one of the things that I want to make sure that everyone is aware of is that software has opinions. And software has opinions because the people who make the software have opinions. Software has opinions on what a form should look like and what the process flow should be. It has opinions on, who should be able to come in and register, opinions on how, the different awards should be fulfilled. And the more opinions that software has, the less flexible it becomes. So one of the big questions, many platforms say that they're customizable, but are they completely? And one of the things we want to focus on is modular versus custom built. So in our history here at BrightSpot, we've seen both sides. We started as a truly custom shop. And once again, I've been here for 14 years. So a truly custom shop, everything was custom. Anything you want, you can have it. We have developers that are in-house and they love to build things, right? They're engineers. Well, with that, you can have custom, but it takes a long time and it costs a lot of money, right? So it was expensive, as you could imagine. And the market can only bear so much of that. So we were like, you know what? Let's go the other direction. We're going to have a totally SaaS solution. We're going to build the perfect system with all of the opinions of how things should be run from our over 25 years of experience. And that's the only thing clients will need because it has everything they could possibly want. We thought it was a thing of beauty. And clients said, you know what, this is awesome, but my program's a little different. I'd like to change and tweak a couple of things. My opinions don't exactly line up with your opinions, right? So we have this paradigm, fully custom, expensive, and takes way too long, totally 100% SaaS, super fast, but we kind of have to hack our own code to make changes. And where you want to land is somewhere in the middle, right? You want to be able to have a system that's modular, that has the most common things that you need, the ability to send emails. It's got a catalog, it's got a claim form, it's got, an enrollment form. All of those things are built in, but it's flexible enough to be able to have some tweaks and changes and to be able to make it your own, because every program is different and the things you need to be able to reach your target audience on a case-by-case basis are different. What you need to do as an individual who's buying one of these platforms is ask the questions to find out how customizable these are. If you're asking questions and they say a quick yes and a quick no, right? Then it's more of a SaaS platform, right? They know exactly where the fence is. If you're outside of the fence, platform is not for you. If you're inside the fence, let's do business. If it's 100% custom, the answer to everything will be yes. But wait till you see that price tag. So a balance between the two, what you want to hear a little bit of is, hey, maybe we could extend this. These are some ways we can implement it. This is a way we can modify our code to be able to meet your needs. that means that yes, they have a platform that's in place that does the heavy lifting, but also you can customize and make some tweaks that are important to you. So the other thing I want to mention is, and this is just in modern design, period, every single software platform, every CIM system that you reach out to vendors and get demos of should be mobile responsive. There was a time where we would tote that as an advantage of our platform, but at the end of the day, that's just responsible design. So you shouldn't have to have a mobile app. You should be able to have one site, and based on the whether it's a mobile tablet, whether it's a phone, whether it's a laptop, it should be able to respond intelligently and give a display that'll meet the needs of that user on that specific device. So that's definitely a question you want to ask out of the gate. And it should more be an expectation that you have for any platform or CIM system that you're going to use. So as far as a tip, the main takeaway when we have the whole flexibility question is ask for details on how customizable you can get. That's the question that'll let you know whether it's a SaaS solution. It may give you speed, but not too many options. Or whether it's a more custom solution, which may have the cost, but give you exactly what you want.
Hey, Jason, before we move on from this one, looking back at that little graphic where we have our monitor screen and our little phone, when would you say there's truly a time where a mobile app would be necessary?
That is a great question, Kelly. You know, with modern websites, the only time that you would really need a mobile app, to be honest with you, is if you're going to have an application that's using default functionality that's in the mobile device itself. And I'll give you an example. Let's say your mobile phone, right? So your mobile phone has GPS, right? Your mobile phone has a camera that's in it. Your mobile phone has features that come by default. One, mobile phone's able to call people, right? So it makes sense that maybe if you have a mobile app that incorporates location or something like that, you need to be able to use that GPS feature. And it's an advantage to have an app versus just having a mobile responsive site. The mobile responsive site will not be able to engage that device, but an app can. So in those cases, an app makes a lot of sense. But for most incentive sites or CIM systems, it really doesn't engage the devices that are functionality that's on the phone itself. So an app really doesn't make sense. And to be honest with you, it's not worth the cost.
Yeah, great point. Question. Thanks, Jason. Okay, well, moving on to the activity in the incentive program itself. Now, the title of this slide is Smarter Sales Claims. And I would focus on the word smarter, one, and then secondly, claims, because the data can be received two ways, either a claim form or via import. But what you should be looking for when considering an incentive software is not just a claim form. Anybody can turn on a claim form. I could spin up a Google form while listening to Jason talk. It's about more than that. Always consider those conditional fields that might be more relevant to a more complex sale. Ask for a demo of those for sure. And then look at the unique IDs that you might have available when it comes to an import, to guard against things like duplicate transactions, double payouts, activity being assigned to the wrong person. Make sure that there are safeguards in place out of the box with the platform you're considering. And then the claim form should also mirror that validation cycle. So you'll want to make sure that as you're building, you're capturing the sales data that you or we will need to validate against to protect the integrity of sales that come through the platform. The other thing I would add to this is when you think about the impression that incentive software makes to your channel, whether it's well-designed, easy to use, smart, fast, immediate, whether it's a Google form or a nicely designed site, sends a message to your partners or your channel, what you are worth to them by the investment that you're making in this experience. So worth noting. Seeing if I could finish with a pro tip, always ask to see a demo of those conditional fields and import capabilities.
And Kelly, I do have one question about this. When I was new to the industry, it was kind of difficult for me to discern when you need a claim form or when you can just use a transaction importer. So when is one or the other more appropriate for your program?
fair question. We see a claim form used much more often in a two-tier distribution model, where it's hard for us or the client to attribute a sale down to the individual rep who sold it. It's easy enough to tell which reseller, which company sold it, but a little bit harder to get it back to the individual. So by asking that individual to come in, identify the sale and themselves, it allows for that one-to-one attribution so that we can give the award to that person who put in all the effort to make that sale. And Jason, your question about an import, it's basically that answer, but reversed. When we can tie sales data to an individual, it makes a very sleek and speedy solution to do an import on a set cadence. So participants have a great experience on when points are deposited, when points are spent, all that good stuff.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to one of my favorite topics, security. I know everyone likes to talk about security, right? Well, trust me, it is a very popular topic. And one thing that every CIM needs to have, here we have secure enrollment, but I want to talk about the overall security posture of the application. The security posture, all that means is how safe is the application, right? Attacks on data are happening more frequently, and truly, you can just look at the headlines. You have some of the biggest names in the industry, your Amazons, your Googles. They get hacked, information get compromised. They send out apology emails and ask everyone to reset their passwords. And you can imagine, right, if their systems can be compromised with all of the security engineers that they have, then the CIM vendor that you go with could be compromised as well. You want to make sure, especially if you're sharing personal information, that platform is secure. So one, we must secure forms, and that collects that personally identifiable information, right? And make sure that that information is encrypted on transit, right? So you want to be able to take a look when you're on that enrollment form and be able to see that safe and secure lock, knowing it has an SSL connection. And all that means is when it sends that data, it's going to be secure when it travels to its destination. But there's another one that's important, and this is usually a question that you need to ask that vendor specifically. Is that data also protected at rest? It's one thing to make sure that as it flies through the internet to get to its destination, that it's encrypted and secure. But when it lands in that database, right, when it's sitting on that server, is it encrypted there as well? If you have any personal identifiable information, and that could be something as simple as first name and last name, or even if you're talking email address and address, anything that someone can take and know, hey, that's John Smith, this is where he lives, it should be encrypted at rest. So those are a couple of things I want to share. It's a great question to ask any CIM software vendor. And also, you want to make sure, or one of the benefits of going with a vendor is, this is someone's job, right? If you're working with a vendor, rather than doing it yourself, and I understand we have the best intentions, right? But some of our clients come to us and they say, hey, I have this information and I'm keeping it on the laptop and keeping track of these things, and I'm getting all of these forms and I'm storing it, in my Google Cloud account. There's a better way. There's a much better way. You want to make sure that you work with a vendor that's going to secure that information, that will be able to answer the security questions that your team has and your internal corporate security officers have, and that they'll be able to take that application. They can do what we call a penetration test for vulnerabilities, and they pass with flying colors. If your vendor's not able to do that and be able to go through that process with you, you may want to look for someone else.
Good advice, Jason. I can't imagine storing that on my laptop because I would probably never sleep at night.
Please don't.
Don't worry.
Okay.
As I tell the IT director, don't worry, I'm not doing that.
Right.
But on that note, from where I sit, one of the questions that we get asked most from an operational perspective is about SSNs, because as you know, we capture them for tax reporting purposes, and that can be a hang up for some of our clients. So what would your counsel and recommendation be on that topic?
Well, and I will share that, collecting Social Security numbers for the tax reporting that a lot of CIMs do, it is necessary. But just as I mentioned before, that information, once it hits a server, needs to be encrypted. And also there needs to be security policies and practices around what happens to that information, even when it's retrieved by CIM software staff internally. What developers have access to that information on the servers? Can they download that information from the database? No, they shouldn't be able to. Also, the individuals who work on that program and support our client, should they be able to access that information? Absolutely not. There should be a clear delineation on who can access it, when they can access it, what that purpose is, and also what happens to their access when they leave the organization or their status changes within the organization. That's policy documentation that we have and make available to our clients. It should be policy documentation you should get from any vendor when you have a CIM platform.
Great answer. Should have written that down for the next time I get asked.
Perfect. Thank you.
Let's see. I think we can go to the next slide. Sebastian, here we go. Thank you. Let's see. So when it comes to offer calculation or promo offer calculation, the one thing to keep in mind, or that we certainly keep in mind here, is that no two incentive programs are the same. We serve completely different vertical, different clients, but our platform is the same and does serve many different verticals. And I say that so that you can look for flexibility in building those offers and the way that they calculate payouts. When considering a vendor, you see our 80-20 rule here at the bottom in a nice graphic that Jason alluded to at the very beginning. Is it 100% custom? Is it a completely SaaS solution? Or is it somewhere in the middle? And that 80-20 rule is a great representation of our somewhere in the middle approach. So the 80% is what we recommend should be included as part of core, should be out of the box functionality. Things like business logic that calculates payouts, points, tiers, splits, accelerators, multipliers, the ability to add an additional participant, all of that should be included in a good incentive platform. And while you might not need that kind of functionality upon launch or this year, by investing in a platform that offers it allows you economies of scale in the future. So that as your program grows, as your channel grows, you have a platform that will grow with it and at a cost that doesn't change because it's part of core. That last point about the ability to add additional participants for teams that work together. There's research that came out recently by Forrester that went into detail on how much the partner ecosystem and channel environment is changing. It's becoming so much more complex. So the software that supports sales initiatives, learnings, all of that needs to evolve with the partner channel. So look for a platform that will allow for flexibility in the future and economies of scale. Oh, let's see, pro tip. So look for 80% of the functionality that you need to be standard and expect about 20% or less to be custom.
Well, Kelly, what happens when a client comes in and we have our discovery call and it turns out that about 50% will be custom and they're only using about 50% of what we have as far as the standard functionality. So if it's more 50-50, what are some of the expectations that a client can have as part of our process?
See, I'll answer the first part of that question, and that is, Jason, you and I roll up our sleeves and to answer the second part of the question. When less is included in core or out of the box, a client should expect a longer launch time, runway to launch, and additionally, slightly higher cost to make sure that we can include all that custom functionality in the build.
But the good thing is we can do it.
Exactly. And we love doing it.
Yes. Participant portal. So the participant portal is vitally important. It is the primary touch point that a participant has with the program and their way of engaging with the program. And it's not only great for the participant to have a one-stop shop to get the information they need to be able to understand the pulse of their participation in the program itself, but it's great for our different customers and clients. Any incentive management software you have should have a rich and engaging participant experience, and they should be able to take work off of your plate and push some of it back to the participant. And I'll tell you what I mean. So one, the torrent of emails asking for updates, right? So if you're running a program manually, there's probably a lot of emails that you get. Hey, I want to change my information. I need to, I just got married. My last name has changed. This is my new email address. All of those details, right? I just moved. Here's where you need to ship things. A platform should take care of that for you. They should be able to go into a profile and update and edit their information. It's updated real time, and it is reflected in any reports or any backend processes. Also, empowering participants to be able to view their points in transaction history. It's self-serve. You have some high achievers who want to see every single transaction, every claim that's come in, every single payment that they have, and they monitor it. Well, you don't want those to be phone calls to you, right? You want them to be able to track status themselves. Is my claim pending? Has it been viewed by someone? Has it been awarded and acted upon, right? That's all information a good platform should be able to give those participants. And the last is the portal drives longevity and overall usage. The more touch points you have with a platform, the more opportunity they have to engage and log in and see their status, then that just breeds an environment where they have loyalty not only to your process, right, and your program, but also to your brand, right? You're giving them value and they can see that value right in front of their eyes. So having a participant portal is so important. If you're going to have a demo for any vendor who's selling a CIM system, you want to take a look at that portal and make sure it meets your participants' needs.
That's a great point. So before we get to the tip, Jason, let me lob you a soft one.
Sure.
So you and I look at Google Analytics often. Mm-hmm. What would you tell our viewers are the most visited pages in each of our program sites time and time again?
The top two. Now I'm excluding homepage, right? Because everybody goes to the homepage, right? 2 is the participant portal, 3 is the catalog, right? And when you think about the workflow of a participant, it makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. I log into the page, I go see how many points I have, and I spend them. Yep. So it makes sense. Those are the touch points. Make it as engaging as possible. And we'll get to catalog here in just a minute.
Great answer. Thank you.
And the tip here, view the participant portal through their eyes. Think of what the participant needs. Think about the information that's valuable to them. And you want to make sure that the platform has a dashboard, interface, or portal that gives your participant exactly the information they need to spend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this one's me. So, as you're considering, a partner or software, one thing that you might come across in this space is that there are companies that have preference to a certain award type or a certain vendor. Some prefer cards, some prefer merch. We recommend that you find a provider that is truly award neutral, someone who will work with you to understand your audience, your demographic, their psychoanalytics, understand who they are to make a recommendation on the best award type that will best motivate and engage them in your program. The second thing that you should look for are APIs. Ask if there's an API connection for whatever the award type is, because that technology will lead to faster award delivery. Participants receiving awards is a great thing. Participants waiting 8 weeks to get the award, not a great thing. So seek immediacy in your provider. And then I'll add a pro tip here. Investigate all the award options offered. Travel, merch, prepaid, e-gift, reloadable. Ask for it all and then pick the best 1 or 2.
And I'm going to ask you a frequently asked client question. What is the best award that you can give in your catalog?
And my answer would be, it depends. Because I want to understand your demographic. Yep, let's talk.
Perfect. Well, let's talk about shopping cart, and let's even expound on this to shopping experience. It's become necessary for any award fulfillment site to have a professional shopping experience, because your participants are customers, and those customers come to your program informed. They know how to shop. They've been on Amazon, they've been on these shopping websites, Nike.com, you name it. And we don't have any plugs for those brands, just so you know. But it's like I'm not getting paid for this. But those are the brands, and their shopping experience are some of the best in the world, world-class shopping experiences. Well, your participants come with that expectation, right? They come to your site and your shopping experience and their award experience, and they want to have a similar experience, a similar look and feel. So we have to make sure that it's professional. They're able to search, they're able to filter, they're able to get to the subset of products that they need. And I mean, imagine a world where you went into a grocery store, right? And you said milk, and all of the shelves moved and the milk was presented right in front of you. Like, that's the online experience. You type in exactly what you're looking for and boom, it happens. Anything less than that is unacceptable. If they go into a catalog and have to scroll and search and find, I mean, just the fatigue of 3 minutes of looking around, you're going to disengage them. You're going to lose them, right? They need to be able to go to the brands that they love, be able to see the options that you have, and be able to fill up that cart quickly. So also displaying all the unique points, values, and rewards for every single product, every single step of the way. They need to know exactly how many points it's going to take against their balance. And also, we want to avoid manually emailing participants for award fulfillment. And we're in the circle of trust, and we have a little bit of time, so I'm going to share. We have so many clients that come to us who have had to fulfill cards and merchandise manually, and that becomes their job, right? They start out with their marketing position, and they have an incentive program, and instead of spending 90% on their marketing job and 10% on the awards program, it becomes 80% on the awards program, and they're trying to go to vendor to vendor to vendor. I mean, CVS, Walgreens, right? and get these cards to fulfill them. One reason you want to have a CIM is that process shouldn't just be efficient, it should be automated. You want to look for a vendor where as soon as that order is placed online, that shopping cart is filled, and they hit the option to submit, that you have real-time APIs that are going to vendors instantly and able to fulfill gift cards, not within days, but e-gifts within minutes, right? Physical gift cards within days and merchandise within a week. That should not be a manual process. It should be something that's automated, going to the vendor and fulfilled immediately, because our job is to make sure that from activity to award, that time frame is as short as possible. And that's what this platform can help you with. Pro tip, make sure the entire checkout fulfillment process is automated. If the more hands get into that process, the worse the participant suffers.
You answered my question already, Jason. So
sorry.
So for the sake of time, I will save it so that we can move on to I'll speak for Jason when I say one of our most beloved features, and one that anyone should look for in incentive management software, a reporting dashboard, something that provides quick insight, analytics, and real-time data for you so that you can share it with executives by taking a simple screenshot. Here's current spend in the program. Here's current potential spend. Here's number of people enrolled. Here's most popular items. I could keep going. But this dashboard, a dashboard, should be included, and it should make your life so much easier. Jason, anything you'd add to our beloved dashboard?
No, this is the nuts and bolts. So this is where you can get the pulse of the program, how it's improving over time. Dashboard is critically important.
See, so pro tip, don't just have it, but track site analytics and program analytics in one spot. And what that means is Google Analytics and program analytics in a one-stop shop, which is what a good dashboard should offer. All right, I think, let's see. So Jason, you hinted at automation, and I will shamelessly plug Brightspot here and something that sets us apart. And that is our belief in strong, solid communications. And when it comes to that and a good platform, those communications should be automated so that every touch point in the program becomes part of that communication lifecycle for the participant. A good platform does everything you see in the cycle here. It promotes, tracks, communicates, awards, communicates again, re-engages, and promotes, whether that's new offers, new content, or anything you have to share. But that is included in our platform, and it's something that we'd recommend be included in any platform. All right, and since I still have the floor, Jason, I think I'll kick this one to you, because you do such a great job with us internally and both externally with our clients of always encouraging us to begin with the end in mind, which is so important when it comes to development. So how would you elaborate on that?
Well, and I think one thing is to kind of think of the process backward, the incentive process, especially the channel incentive software. Most clients are excited about the front end, right? They're excited about the graphics, they're excited about the art, they're excited about the participant workflow, and then reporting is an afterthought. It's, hey, once we do all of this, what do we have in reports? We'll figure that out after launch, right? Well, it's the reports that prove the value of your program to the people who fund your program. How about we think about that first? What are your goals? What do you need to achieve success? What are those success factors? What are your objectives? What data do you need to be able to prove that there is value in this program and how much value there is to your stakeholders? And then we can work backwards to have a platform that proves that value, gives that value to your participants, and at the end, we can make it look pretty. Begin with the end in mind.
Perfect. I'm back. Yeah, that is it. Great job, both. If you guys didn't notice, we had the operation side talking, and then we also had the technical expertise right here. So I learned a couple new things. Appreciate you guys going ahead and talking through each of these must-haves. So we're going to quickly go through, because we are running out of time here very quickly, some Q&As. So if you haven't answered or put down your Q&As, please put those in the little Q&A box on the bottom there. Oh, yep, almost forgot I had the slides, a little Q&A button for you guys there at the bottom. I do want to plug, we do have a Choosing Incentive Software Platform ebook that we'd like to share with you guys, so that if you're in the process of choosing an incentive software program or platform, even if you don't go with us, we have some tips and tricks that you guys might want to look for when it comes to those type of things. We would be very happy to go ahead and have those conversations with you, but there's an ebook for you guys so that you guys can do that too. So about this time is when we answer some questions. I do have a couple, so I think I can get through two here. First question asks, what percentage of a channel incentive budget should be allocated to a CIM, assuming a one-level distribution program?
You want me to take that one, Jason?
Take it.
All right. Well, we would recommend that approximately 10% of your budget go towards technology. We use the the litmus test of the budget pie, where at least 70% of your budget should go to participants, the ones that we're trying to motivate and engage. The remaining 30% is communications, technology, and program administration.
Perfect. If we can, one more. The other question comes out, are admin privileges already included in the CIM, or is there additional cost for that access? I guess we can talk about our services.
With our Ignite platform, admin privileges are absolutely included. So there's three tiers of access that we have for the site by default. One are admin privileges. You also have participant views and privileges. And then we also have a level that's dedicated to delegates. If an admin wants to delegate responsibilities that are available for the site to be able to control a subset of their audience, we have that level as well. Great question, but that's all part of our core offering.
Perfect. Let me see if I can get to two more here. So another question asks, should a reporting dashboard be included off the shelf, or is that considered custom?
Why don't I start this one, Jason, you finish it. So it should be included, but what should be included in that dashboard should be out of the box and require little configuration. But Jason, what would you say?
I would agree. So we, in our reporting dashboard, we have what we call canned reports. So there's about 12 reports that we offer off the shelf. We collect the data, that's standard. We also have widgets which give visibility to some of the metrics that we have for the site. We have 12 widgets that are available off the shelf. So that's what you get as part of the core package, and that should be part of any package that you have with any software vendor. If you want to go outside and expound and have custom reports, or you like custom widgets, that's where we have that 20% flexibility. We'd be able to accommodate that with a little more cost.
Perfect. And here's the last question I think we have time for. How long does it take to launch a program?
A standard program, we typically say 4 to 6 weeks. Simpler programs execute faster. And Jason, I'm not sure if you want to mention what our longest, runway to launch is, but the more complex, the more weeks that we need.
And I believe so. And when we talk about beginning with the end in mind, some of that process is the design phase, right? And not just designing the website and the look and feel, but also designing the program and make sure that it's a program that's going to be successful using our years of experience in the industry. And that process takes time, but once we have the scope, then it's pretty straightforward and we can usually get something knocked out within that 4-week time frame.
Gotcha. Well, I think that kind of wrapped things up here. So we're out of time. So I appreciate everyone who sent in their questions. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Kelly, for being on. If you guys don't know already, we already have another webinar up and coming. So take a look at that on our website. It should be popping up in there soon. And we'll be sending out the video of this webinar as well as the presentation slides for everybody who registered. So I appreciate your time and have a great evening.
Bye-bye.